Hello my dear learner out there, you are most welcome to Bookedet TV in this program of Past PLE brought to you by Prime Learn. You can get us on www.prime-learn.com or you can go on your Google Play Store and download the Prime Learn app. My name is Zimbe William and I'm going to take you through Primary 5 Mathematics. In this lesson, our theme is numeracy, the topic is fractions. And under fractions, we have a subtopic, which is decimals. We are specifically going to look at finding the value of decimal numbers up to hundredths. My dear learner, before we continue to finding the value of decimal numbers up to hundredths, let's remind ourselves about some of the things which are going to help us link to what we are going to learn today. These things include the place value of a decimal number and even finding the value of any given digit in a whole number. Let's look at the examples about finding the place value of digits in a decimal number. Write the place value of each digit in the following numbers. We have got a number which is 2.67. This number is a decimal number, and it has the whole number part as well as the decimal part. So we are going to first rewrite our number. After rewriting our number, as you can see on the screen, we shall go in the whole number part and then we identify the place values which are there. The whole number part on our number here is having only one digit, which means that there is only one place value, and that place value is the ones place value, as you can see. So that 2 is in the ones place value. When we go on the side of the decimal part, we are looking and we are seeing that there is 6 and 7. So these 6 and 7 are the digits in the decimal part. How are we going to identify their place values? Previously in our lesson, we said that the first digit just after a decimal point in the decimal part is always in the tenths place value. So we shall put there the tenths. When we go on digit 7, which comes just after 6, it will be in the hundredths place value, as you can see on the screen. My dear, let's go on our next example. Our next example is having 468.3. It's having 468.3. And remember, they have told us to write the place value of each digit in this number. What we're going to first do is always to rewrite the number given. So we are going to write that number given again. After writing it again, we shall identify the whole number part. So the whole number part is right here and it is having 3 digits. It's having 4, 6, and 8. What are the place values which make up a whole number? As we have just seen in our first example there, that the first digit in the whole number part just after the decimal point is always in the ones place value. So here on 8, we are going to put there ones. And when we continue on digit 6, it is going to be in the tens place value, as you can see. And then digit number 4 is going to be in the hundreds place value. My dear, since we have finished the whole number part, now let's go on the next part of a decimal number. And that part is none other than the decimal part. The decimal part in this number is having digit 3. It has only one digit. And this digit 3 is going to be in the tenths place value. Why? It is the digit which comes just after the decimal point in the decimal part. And we said that digit is always in the tenths place value. Now, let's look at our last example about finding the place value of digits in a decimal number. This is reading, find the place value of each digit in 46.67. Find the place value of each digit in 46.67. We are given this number, and remember I have just told you that we have to first write the number again. We get it from the question. So it is 46.67. And we are going to first work out the whole number part, which is having digit 4 and digit 6. That 6, you can see that first one in the whole number part. And we put there those place values of each digit in that part. So we can see that this 6, which is in the whole number part, is going to be with the ones place value, as you can see on the screen. And these ones can as well be written in figures. How do we write that ones in figures? We shall just put there 1. When we go on, we are looking at digit 4 in the whole number part, and it is in the place value of tens. Its place value is going to be written in figures as 10. After finishing the whole number part, then we are going to go to the decimal part. In our decimal part, my dear learner, we are having digit 6 and digit 7, as you can see there on your screen. Now we are going to write the place value of each of those digits. Remember that we said the first digit in the decimal part, which comes just after the decimal point, as you can see that 6, it is always in the tenths place value, as you can see. So we shall put there tenths. And these tenths can also be written in figures as a tenth. So when we go to the next digit, which is digit 7, it is going to be in the hundredths place value. Hundredths can as well be written in figures as 100. Now, my dear, since we have finished to remind ourselves about writing the place value of digits in a decimal number, let's also remind ourselves about how to find the value of any given digit in a whole number. Let's assume they have given us a number like 375, as you can see there on our screen, and they want us to identify the value of 5 in that number. How do we do it to find the value of a given digit? I think you learned this in your previous lessons. We are going to first write our number again, as you can see here on the screen. After writing this number, we are going to put their place values on each digit. Each digit is going to get its respective place value, and we can see 5 is in the first place value on the right hand side of a whole number, and that place value is always the ones place value, as you can see there. So we are going to put there ones. When we go on the next digit, which is digit 7, it's going to be in the tens place value. That's why we are writing there its initial, that T. And then we continue to digit 3, we shall put there its initial as H. So digit 3 is going to be in the hundreds place value. Now, since we have finished to identify their place values, we are going to look for the required digit. And this digit is digit 5. So digit 5 is in the ones place value, which means there are 5 ones in this number. Being that digit 5 is in the ones place value, it means there are 5 ones in that number. And then that means we are going to say 5 times 1 to mean 5 ones, or you can say 5 groups of ones. And when you multiply 5 times 1, we are going to get 5 as our answer. Therefore, the value of 5 in this number is going to be 5. Now, remember in this lesson, I have just told you that we are going to look at finding the value of any given digit in a decimal number up to hundredths. And we are as well going to look at the meaning of a value. A value, my dear learner who is watching this lesson, a value is the quantity of a digit in a given number. In other words, it means how much a digit holds in a number. That means when you get a value, you have got the quantity of that digit in a number. Let's look at our first example about finding the value of any given digit in a decimal number. Work out the value of each digit in the following numbers. And the first number given is 281.3. The first number is 281.3. How are we going to find the value of each digit? Remember, in this case, we have to be knowing the place value of each digit. So we are going to first write the number again, and after writing this number, we shall indicate the place value of each digit on top of it. So we can very well start from the whole number part. The whole number part in this number is having 3 digits, and these 3 digits are 2, 8, and 1. We are very well seeing that the first digit just after the decimal point in this whole number part is digit 1. That means this 1 is going to be in the ones place value, and then up there we shall put there O to represent ones. When we go on to the next digit, it is digit 8. When you look at that digit 8, it's going to be in the next place value just after ones, and that place value is tens. So for it, its initial is going to be T, and so we shall put there T. When you go to the last digit, which is digit 2, its place value is hundreds, and therefore we shall put there H. When you cross and go to the decimal part, it's only having 1 digit, and that is digit 3, as you can see there on your screen. So that digit 3 is going to be in the tenths place value. Now what is going to come next? Remember, they want us to find the quantity or how much each digit holds in this number, which means we are going to start again from the whole number part. There is no problem, and we can very well see that there is 1 ones in this whole number part. Now, if there is only 1 ones, it means we shall multiply this 1 times 1. When we continue and go to the next place value, which is tens, it is very well showing us that there is digit 8, and this 8 is in the place value of tens, which means there are 80 tens. Remember, I told you that we can as well say that there are 8 groups of tens because it is in tens place value, and we shall write it as 8 times 10, which is the place value. When you go to the next digit, which is digit 2, it is in the hundreds place value, meaning that there are 2 groups of hundreds, and we shall multiply 2 times 100. Before we continue to the decimal part, we are very well seeing that we have multiplied the digit and times its place value, which means we can as well be multiplying the digit times its place value in figures. So when you go to the decimal part, we are having digit 3, and we shall multiply 3 times its place value in figures. What is its place value in figures? Its place value is a tenth. So we shall multiply 3 times a tenth, as you can see on the screen. Now, what are we going to get as our answers? Still, we can very well start from the whole number part, and we can write 1 times 1 has given us 1. So when you multiply 1 times 1, you get 1, and then you shall write there 1. When you go on, we are seeing in the tens place value, we have 8 times 10. So when you multiply 8 times 10, we are going to get 80. And now let's go on the next place value, which is hundreds. When you multiply 2 times 100, what do you get? Let's go on our side work and we see. So this is going to be arrangement of our digits in their correct place values. This is going to be ones, tens, hundreds. And then we shall bring our 100 first, and then we put there 2 last. So we shall multiply 100 times 2 vertically, as you can see. We shall multiply 2 times 0 first, and it's going to give us 0. We multiply 2 times another 0, it's also going to give us 0. And when you multiply 2 times 1, it's going to give us 2. Meaning, when you multiply the whole of it, 2 times 100, we shall be getting 200. So we come here and write 200. Now we are remaining with only one part, that is the decimal part, which is having 3 times a tenth. When we are multiplying, my dear who is watching this lesson, when we are multiplying, we are going also to go on our side work, and we shall work it out from here. So we are going to say 3 times a tenth can also be equal to, remember, the whole number is always having a denominator 1. So we shall put there that silent denominator, which is 1. We shall write it there down on our whole number here, which is 3. And then after writing that silent denominator, we are going to multiply the numerators alone and then the denominators alone. In this case, we are having the numerators as 3 times 1, and the denominators we are having 1 times 10. So when you multiply 3 times 1, we are going to get 3, and when you multiply 1 times 10, we are going to get 10. So we have got a new fraction, which is 3 tenths. Now, how are we going to come up with our final answer on this fraction? We are going to apply the knowledge of long division method. Remember, 3 tenths is going to mean 3 divided by 10. So we are going to use our long division method. As you can see there on our side work, the symbol for long division is already drawn there. And the numerator, which is 3 on our fraction, is going to be here inside. And then the denominator, which is 10 on our fraction, it's going to come here outside on the division symbol. After putting there those digits and number, which we are going to divide, how are we going to do it? We are going to divide the one inside by the one outside. So we have 3 divided by 10. Is it really applicable to divide 3 by 10? It's going to give us something which is in decimals. So we are not first going to write that decimal, which it's going to give us. It's the one we are finding now. So 3 divided by 10, we shall just put there 0 because it is not applicable. So we shall put 0 there up on 3 in that place value, and then we shall go on our next step. The next step is always multiplication. We shall multiply that 0 we have got times the divisor, which is 10, and then we shall get 0. When you multiply 0 times any number, you get 0. So we shall write it there as you can see. Now the next step is subtraction. We subtract 3 minus 0, and we are going to get 3. Now that we have finished all the steps and we have got our answer here as 3 after subtraction, we are not going again to divide 3 divided by 10. But in this case, we are going to regroup a 0 from here. Remember, a whole number is always having a silent decimal point, and it has silent zeros after that decimal point. Now, my dear who is watching this lesson, we are going to regroup just 1 0 from the zeros which are just after that decimal point of a whole number. Remember, we said a whole number has a decimal part, but this part only has zeros, that silent decimal part. Now, because it is just from that decimal part, we are also going to create a decimal part in our answer. In creating that decimal part, we are going to bring a decimal point in our answer. So there is going to be a decimal point. And now after getting this 30, we are going to divide it by 10. And when you divide 30 by 10, you get 3. So this 3 is going to be written there up just in the place value of this 0. And after writing this 3, we are going to multiply it again by the divisor. Remember, the divisor is 10. So we shall multiply 3 times 10, which is going to give us 30. So after writing that 30, we are going to subtraction. We shall subtract 30 minus 30, and we shall come up with 0, which means we have reached our final step. Is there any other digit which we can divide? It's not there. And that means our final answer is 0.3. So we bring that 0.3 and write it here. That means it is even the value of 3 in 281.3. Now let's go on our next example. It reads, find the value of 7 in 32.76. Find the value of 7 in 32.76. My dear viewer, my dear learner, they have given us 32.76 as the number in the question, and they want us to find the value of 7 in this number. We shall first write this number again, as you can see here on the screen. And after writing this number again, what comes next? We are going to indicate the place value of each digit in this number, and we are going to write those place values up. So we are going to start from the whole number part, and the whole number part is having 2 digits. This is 3 and 2, as you can see here. So 2 is the first digit in the whole number part, which comes just immediately after the decimal point, and it means that it is going to be in the ones place value, as you can see. So we are going to put there ones up on that digit. When you go on the next digit, it is digit 3, and we shall put there tens. When we continue, we are going to the decimal part, and the digit which starts the decimal part just after the decimal point is digit 7. This digit 7 is going to be in the tenths place value, and we shall put their tenths there up on that digit 7, and on the next digit, which is 6, we shall put there hundredths, as you can see. Now the next thing we are going to do is to look and observe the required digit. In which place value is it? Remember that the required digit in our question is digit 7. And when you look at our working here, digit 7 is in the tenths place value. And we said the tenths place value can as well be written in figures as a tenth. Being that there is digit 7 in the tenths place value, it as well means that there are 7 tenths. It as well means that there are 7 tenths in that number. So what are we going to do? We are going to write those 7 tenths as 7 groups of a tenth. And when we say 7 groups of a tenths, we mean 7 times a tenth. Now we have reached that step. We are going to go on our side work and we work out 7 times a tenth. What does it give us? Don't forget that a whole number like 7, which you are seeing here on the screen, is always having a silent denominator 1. So we are going to also put there that silent denominator, which is 1. After writing that silent denominator, we shall multiply the numerators alone and the denominators alone. The numerators we have are 7 and 1, and the denominators we have is 1, and then we have 10. So we shall multiply 7 times 1 out of 1 times 10. The product of 7 and 1 is going to be 7. And when you multiply 1 times 10, it gives us 10. So which means our next step, we are going to have 7 out of 10, which can also be read as 7 tenths. Now after reaching this step, we can bring in the long division method of division, and we divide such that we work out and come up with a value of 7 in this decimal number which they have given us. So our decimal symbol is already shown on your screen, and we are going to put the numerator inside, and then we shall put the denominator outside. So as you can see, remember, the first step always is division, the next step multiplication, and the last step subtraction. Those are the 3 steps which we are going to be following on each digit when we are working out using the long division method. Now we are going to divide 7 divided by 10. When you divide 7 divided by 10, it is not applicable because 7 is smaller than 10. What are we going to do? We are going to write a 0 there up in the place value of 7. The next step is multiplication. We are going to multiply that 0 we have written times the divisor, which is 10. So when you multiply 0 times 10, we are going to get a 0. So that 0 is going to be written here. The last step is subtraction here. We shall subtract 7 minus 0. And we are coming up with 7. So we shall write that 7 here. Now that we have reached that step, we are not again going to divide 7 divided by 10. We are instead going to regroup a 0, which is silent. Remember, in the previous example, I have just told you that there is a silent place value in a whole number, and that place value is a decimal place value, my dear. So I'm going to regroup a 0 from that place value. I bring it here, and that just shows us that we have entered the decimal part, which means even in our answer we have to be entering the decimal part, and we are going to bring a decimal point. So now we indicate a decimal point there on our answer. So now we have got a new number, which is 70. We are going to divide 70 by 10. When you divide 70 by 10, you get 7. And that 7 is going to be written here up, just in the same place value as that one of 0. After writing that 7, we shall multiply 7 times 10. And we are going to get 70. When you get that 70, we are going to write it here down. And the last step is subtraction. We are going to subtract 70 minus 70, which is going to give us 0. Now that we have reached that 0, we don't have any other digit or any other number which is remaining, which can make us continue to work out. And this means that our answer is 0.7. And we are going to write it here that therefore the value of 7 in 32.76 is 0.7. Now let's get another example about finding the value of any given digit in a decimal number. This example reads that find the value of the underlined digits in 21.75. Find the value of the underlined digits in 21.75. Now, my dear learner who is watching there, what we should know is that the first step is always to get the number which they have given us, and we write it again. So we are going to write this number again. It is 21.75. After writing it again, we are going to indicate the place values of each digit in this number. And by indicating the place values, we are going to start from the whole number part. This part is having 2 digits. It's having digit 2 and digit 1. We said that the first digit just after a decimal point, you are seeing a decimal point there. So the first digit just after that decimal point in the whole number part is always in the ones place value. So we shall put there ones, and the next one will be in tens. We are going to also indicate the place value of each digit in the decimal part. The first digit just after the decimal point in the decimal part is always given the tenths place value, as you can see on the screen, and then the next one will be in the hundredths place value. Don't forget that they want us to get the value of the underlined digit in this number. Now, what is the value of 2? How are we going to do this, my dear? We are going to as well multiply the digit by its place value in figures. There is digit 2, which is underlined, times its place value, which is 10 in figures. Now that we have finished that step, we are going on the next step. My dear learner who is there out watching this video, we are going to multiply. You can very well multiply 2 times 10, and the answer is going to be 20. And you write there 20. I thank you, my dear learner out there, for being such a great learner in this lesson. Don't forget to visit very many lessons of this kind on our website, which is Prime Learning website. You can get us on www.prime-learn.com, or you can go on your Google Play Store and you download the Prime Learn app. You will find there very many interesting lessons and educative lessons. In this lesson, we have looked at identifying the value of digits in decimal numbers up to hundredths. And we have as well reminded ourselves about some of the place values and how to find the values of whole numbers. My dear learner who is watching this lesson, I want to remind you about some of the key areas which you should put into consideration when finding the value of any given digit in a decimal number. First of all, you should not forget to write the number again. Let's assume they have told us to find the value of the underlined digits in 21.75. Find the value of the underlined digits in 21.75. Now, my dear learner who is watching there, what we should know is that the first step is always to get the number which they have given us, and we write it again. So we are going to write this number again. It is 21.75. After writing it again, we are going to indicate the place values of each digit in this number. And by indicating the place values, we are going to start from the whole number part. This part is having 2 digits. It's having digit 2 and digit 1. We said that the first digit just after a decimal point, you are seeing a decimal point there. So the first digit just after that decimal point in the whole number part is always in the ones place value. So we shall put there ones, and the next one will be in tens. We are going to also indicate the place value of each digit in the decimal part. The first digit just after the decimal point in the decimal part is always given the tenths place value, as you can see on the screen, and then the next one will be in the hundredths place value. Don't forget that they want us to get the value of the underlined digit in this number. Now, what is the value of 2? How are we going to do this, my dear? We are going to as well multiply the digit by its place value in figures. There is digit 2, which is underlined, times its place value, which is 10 in figures. Now that we have finished that step, we are going on the next step. My dear learner who is there out watching this video, we are going to multiply. You can very well multiply 2 times 10, and the answer is going to be 20. And you write there 20. I thank you, my dear learner out there, for being such a great learner in this lesson. Don't forget to visit very many lessons of this kind on our website, which is Prime Learning website. You can get us on www.prime-learn.com, or you can go on your Google Play Store and you download the Prime Learn app. You will find there very many interesting lessons and educative lessons. In this lesson, we have looked at identifying the value of digits in decimal numbers up to hundredths. And we have as well reminded ourselves about some of the place values and how to find the values of whole numbers. My dear learner who is watching this lesson, I want to remind you about some of the key areas which you should put into consideration when finding the value of any given digit in a decimal number. First of all, you should not forget to write the number again. Now, my dear, I once again thank you for being such a patient and a very good learner. I know this lesson has been interesting and you have learned how to find the value of any digit given in a decimal number up to the place value of hundredths. Now I'm going to leave you with a lesson test. You can find this lesson test on the Prime Learning website. If you don't have the Prime Learning app, you can go on your Google Play Store and you download it, or you visit us on www.prime-learn.com. Now this activity is going to be of two parts. One part is going to be a multiple choice activity which has objectives, and the next part is going to be of structured questions. I am going to give you one example of the questions which you're going to find in that activity. One of these questions is, which of the following is the correct value of 5 in 32.65? We have the first alternative as 0.5, as you can see on the screen. The next one is 0.05, and the third one is 0.005. Thank you for watching Bookedet TV and as well as watching this program of Past PLE brought to you by Prime Learn. I urge you to go on that website and you watch more interesting videos. I remain Zimbe William, Primary 5 Mathematics. I sign out.